once again, man. That PBC card last week. Want to get your thoughts on it from top to bottom? You seen Frank Martin?
I seen Frank Martin. A good comeback victory. You know what I'm saying? A real confidence booster. You know, beating a world champion. You know what I'm saying? Beating a world champion, former world champion like Bartholomew, a Cuban at that, you know what I'm saying, emphatic fashion. Knocked him out. What's that, second round, third round? Yeah, he ended him early, you know what I'm saying? So Frank looked the same, you know,
Not
he looked
not
the
that
same.
early.
What round was it?
I
Fourth?
got you. I think so. I think it was that one.
Okay. Okay. Well, yeah, you know what I mean? So shout out to Frank Martin, you know what I mean? Way to bounce back, kid. You know, he looked it good, he looked it sharp, looked it poised. Now, the other fella didn't look like he was in great shape, and he looked it kind of a little old. I ain't gonna say that. He looked a little old. He
Keep it
didn't
a
look
buck.
like he didn't look like he was, you know what I'm saying, like locked in like that. You know what I mean? But he signed the contract, he got in there. And so it's like I say, it's more of a confidence booster for Frank Martin. So, you know what I'm saying? Shit. He had went through a good camp probably with Brody McGirt. You know what I mean? Had some rest. And it's always good to have a knockout. So shout out to Frank Martin.
Yeah, and that was his debut at 140 pounds as well. What do you
Really
think?
wasn't no difference though, Mill. I mean, he just, you know what I mean? He walk around at a big weight and you know what I'm saying? He just, you know what I mean, they be trying to squeeze themselves down to try to have an advantage, you know what I mean? So, but any rate, look good. And I was thinking that, I was thinking shit. Like I'm saying, I know we want to see, he called out Richard Hitchson. That's a good little fight because I think he a dangerous guy. He's a good fighter, but he ain't as dangerous as a Keyshawn. You know what I mean? So I feel like, you know what I mean, that'll put Africa in a good with a name fighter. You know what I'm saying? With a name fighter coming off a good win. You know what I mean? But it a name fighter. So that'll be a good on both of them for real.
Yeah, yeah. There's been names thrown out there. Keyshawn was one of them. Jermaine Ortiz was another. Antoine Russell wanted the unification, but he has his hands tied up. Yeah, so that would definitely be a good. Who would you favor in that fight, though, when it comes down to Frank Martin and a Richardson Hitchins?
Uh I'm gonna go with Richard Hitchens because he's a pure boxer. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go with Richard Hitchens with that. He's a pure boxer, but like I'm saying, you know that Richard Hitchens don't just blow you out. You know, he ain't just like dominant. You know what I mean? Even though he beat Paro, who beat Matias, but he didn't just beat Matias. He didn't fuck Matias up. He just won the fight. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thing about having a victory over Matias. You know, it's a good victory because he was how he was perceived, but he didn't just beat Matias' ass. It was a good fight. He didn't just beat Matias' ass, and then he beat Paro. You know what I'm saying? And he won it, but he don't just blow you away. Richard Hitchson, you know. So and then he had that fight with Limos that was kind of shaky. So I don't know, but I would favor Richard Hitchson. Al Money, what's goody?
I mean, you tell me why avoid a Keyshawn Davis fight if you are Richardson Hitchins. I mean, don't you think
No,
that's
no,
right?
no, 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 no. I wouldn't say avoid a Keyshawn Davis fight. No, I wouldn't say avoid a Keyshawn Davis fight. But I don't know how more realistic that is. That's all I'm saying. I don't know how realistic that is. You know what I mean? And actually, when you get a guy like that, if he was so interested, he'd have been calling Keyshawn out. You know what I mean? If he was more interested, Richard Hitson trying to, he wants to be a famous fighter. He wants to, he wants all those things. I believe so. You know what I'm saying? That was the right way to get it. If Keyshawn saying something, if they just threw it in the air, hell yeah, I'm going with Keyshawn. I couldn't get To or the other ones. You know what I mean? So Keyshawn is right up there. So that's if I'm Richard Hitchson, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. You know what I mean? How much he had because you know what I'm saying he ain't calling for it. I haven't heard no more really about it for real.
Maybe they're framing that fight to be a unification. With Keyshawn, I know Shakur said something about that's he's gonna drop the belt eventually. It'll be Keyshawn's belt.
Mhm.
Keyshawn number one in the WBO. Maybe a unification makes more sense.
Like, listen, man, fuck all that. Let's get to the fights. The fights make sense. The fight is a good fight. And I just seen a thing where Keyshawn was talking about he don't care about being undisputed. I just seen him on some platform where he said he don't care about being undisputed. So forget it. You know what I mean? Just don't worry about that. I wouldn't put that much in it then based off what he said. You know what I'm saying? And who doesn't want to be champ? You know what I mean? And they've been having a little rivalry. They've been having a little, back and forth or whatever, however it is, little some kind of thing between them. You know what I'm saying? But plus, more than that, they good fighters. Let's fight. Plus I'm fighting at a higher weight. I feel more comfortable, and at the same time, I want more respectability in the sport. So why not fight a young Richard Hitchson who can box his ass off at the same time? You know what I mean? So who's more of my size? Who's more? Don't I really don't have a size advantage again? Keyshawn doesn't have really have a size advantage again, and you know what I'm saying? Still undefeated. Again, that make a big factor on your mentality, and is a world champion now. So it might be a tough out for the kid, which would say a lot about Richard Hitchens to take on Keyshawn Davis in a first title defense. But you know what I'm saying? If you think you all that, then it's really not that hard. You know what I mean? Really shouldn't be out of the question.
Right, right. Especially, being able to perform for your New York fans as well with a card like that. It would have been nice. But getting into the next fight, obviously Laura had a dominant performance, but I mean, you tell me, with the top guys, did you see, I know he's old, he's 42.
Yes.
Is
And
it
he
get
looked
is
at
it creeping?
and he looked at O. And he looked at O. That made me wonder about with the Denzel Bentley fight. I mean, not Denzel Bentley. I'm dumbass. Keep saying Denzel
Jennebeck.
Bentley. Janabek. That made me worried about that. Like, damn, I don't know if Janabek was, you know what I'm saying? But still getting in front of Laura is a different thing. And he's still crafty. He's still crafty. And he ended the fight with a bang. Dropped that dude hitting with four consecutive straight left hands. Was nasty. And I
He
ain't
has
gonna
a
say it
fast
like
left
that.
hand. His
It ain't
left
gonna
hand
say,
got something on it.
and he got great timing with the left hand. And it was crazy because the fella was like telling him to come on and fight. You know what I'm saying? The last round was standing there like, do this, come on, let's fight, let's fight. And he caught him slipping and hit him with the double with the four. He hit him with two at the same time. Then he followed him and hit him with two and knocked him down. So shout out to Lara, man. He's still doing it, but he did look a little older. He looked a little slower. You know what I'm saying? And I would think that he was in great shape for a guy like Janabek, who's perceived as, a killer and you know what I mean, and young, you know what I mean, and tall and rangy. So I don't know. I don't know how you'd have fared against a Janabek that's primed and ready, but maybe Janabek, you know what I'm saying, with him taking that shit, excuse my language, didn't feel as confident. He needed a boost to beat Laura. So I don't know, but based on that, I could see, they had Janabek favorite. And the way Laura looked kind of slow, looked kind of old. I don't know how that fighter went, but it is what it is now. It's old news. He got the victory and on to the next. So shout out to Laura. Keep going till you can't go no more.